Hi everybody, welcome to today's Facebook Live. I'm here today with my little friend Bing, because I know we haven't had him on in a little while, so I thought today would be a good day to have him be our demonstration kitty. So I have to get your little treats in front of you, okay? Today's topic, I am going to talk about, Dr. Megan Heron actually reviewed a study that was in the literature by Drs. Liu, Patterson, Kamari, Murray, and Phillips that was published in the Journal of Veterinary Behavior in 2020 about the gentling effect of cats in shelters. So we want to always think about what the stress level is for cats that are living in a shelter or have been admitted to a shelter and how we can reduce some of that stress. So this study that was done in Queensland, Australia, looked at the duration and aspects of gentling. And gentling is really another word for petting, okay? So gentling on a cat. In this study, they had two groups of cats. One was a group of 60 cats and another group of 15 cats. And in these 60 first group cats, what they studied was a single duration head-to-tail petting for 3 2-minute sessions per day or 1 6-minute session per day. So the animal is getting a total of 6 minutes of touch, of stroking, but it was divided into 3 2-minute sessions versus 1 6-minute session. And then they further divided this into groups where some of the cats had a person talking to them in like a soft, gentle voice, like, "Hi, Binks, how are you? Oh, you're such a good kitty," versus the humans staying silent, not making any kind of, talking or noise or anything like this directed towards the cat. And the second group had 15 cats where they more closely examined the duration of petting to determine whether 3, 6, or 9-minute sessions once a day for 4 days resulted in greater changes in behavior. So they, from first of all looking at dividing into 3 times a day petting sessions versus a 1 time a day petting session, then if we do it 1 time a day, do we do it for just 3 minutes, 6 minutes, or 9 minutes? And then there was the added effect of our voice. Now, the results showed that a quiet petting session of 6 minutes once a day led to the cats being near the front of their cage, being on the floor rather than up on a perch, and showing less pawing at the walls. Cats exposed to 1, 6, or 9-minute session showed an increase in purring, eating, and drinking. And actually, soft speaking during the gentling sessions appeared to negate the positive effects. So positive effects were noted only in the presence of the handler conducting the petting sessions. Okay, so when we had a stranger, it said the cats did not remain on the floor near the front of the cage when a stranger approached to pet them. So it wasn't as if the cats were becoming habituated or conditioned to or accustomed to petting, so thereby they would accept petting by anyone. This was clearly linked with the individual who was doing the gentling, the petting on that particular cat. So it says that familiarity plays a major role in cat comfort. So some of the notes that we want to keep in mind are that while it's gentling or petting may not dramatically alter the behavior of shelter cats. So in other words, the cats are still going to be showing signs of avoidance and some stress around unknown people or lesser known people, or most importantly, the people who have not done this regular petting without talking to them. There is some improvement in their behavior. They do get some point or some time where they are actually becoming very calm and being very affiliative for attention and such, and that is good for the cat's welfare and also good for just basically the cat's learning how to interact with somebody. It says here too, hospitalized and boarded cats may benefit from a single 6 to 9 minute session of gentle petting per day, particularly if consistency of handlers is possible. So guess what? You get paid for petting cats at your clinic, at your boarding facility. Isn't that great? I think that's wonderful. I pay my staff to pet cats because it makes them happy and easier to handle. But now one thing that's going to have to be really important is your staff understands you've got to stay quiet. Don't talk to them while you're petting them. And that can be kind of hard, okay? It says, providing gentle handling and extended purposeful interactions with cats may benefit patient welfare during hospitalization or boarding. Okay, so in other words, it's not just like, well, sometime around today we're going to get around to touching the cat or stroking the cat. No, it's going to be at 10 o'clock in the morning. We're going to go in. We're going to approach the cage from the side. We're going to be careful how we open it so it's not clanging and making a lot of noise. Before we go into the petting or handling session, let's also be aware of, do we have a barking dog underneath this cat? Let's get him out of there. Is there other noise going on, like a dentistry with the high-pitched whine of the ultrasonic scaler? This is not the time to be working on the petting then. So make sure that we have the time of day established, that we have the background and the environment. It's going to be less stressful for the cat. And then, of course, how we pet the cat. So how we pet the cat, I think, is frankly probably one of the most important things, because I see so often that we resort to what we have experienced, like how our cat likes to be petted or how we want to pet the cat. You know, if I'm like, oh, thanks, you're such a good boy, I love petting you, oh, like this. And he's really tolerant because he knows me. He's my daughter's cat and has also lived with me for quite a few years. But do you see what I mean? That would be really rough on him. Even if he was kind of accepting on it, that's still a lot for him. So let's make sure we are going to do this in the right way. The majority of cats accept and like or seek petting from about the front of the head here, right by the ears, going back over the head to right about here, just right behind the collar. This is, of course, the area of allo grooming, facial grooming, co-grooming between cats. And so when a cat, as I call it the kitty handshake, when the cat, if I just have my hand here, or if a cat's just come out of the carrier and I just kind of present my hand here and Binks comes up and he bumps it with his nose, that's his head bunting on me, or especially if he kind of wipes, you know, his chin on the side of my hand. Now he's marking me. And that's his way of saying, oh, okay, now I know you. Oh, okay, now you're mine. And then I can take my hand and maybe pet behind here, right behind ears, coming and stroking this way. And that's all, yeah, that's all I would do. And when I do this, I'm going to watch what the cat does. If you saw him, he turned his head and his hand into my hand. If he turns into my hand, it's his way of saying, oh, I want another pet. I want to have more. And most cats do best to have about 1 or 2 strokes and then stop. Because if we keep stroking, it's very physically stimulating to them. I have not read the actual original report. I do not know how detailed that original report from Queensland, Australia is, as for exactly what the technique was for petting. Was it continuous, or did they do 1 or 2 strokes to stop for a second or two and then do another stroke or 2? There's a big difference to the cat on that. So in my experience and what I observe in most interactions with cats is that the cat will like 1 or 2 strokes and stop. And then the cat, if he turns into your hand or comes back for another stroke, fine, go ahead and pet him again. Now the biggest things I think to watch on their body language for, are they getting aroused? Are they getting kind of charged up? Are they getting kind of, ooh, you know, excited by this, is the tail. When that tail starts to really flip or swish like so, they're actually becoming agitated and it's time to stop the petting. Because this stroking, and if Bing started doing this, I'm sorry, baby, you're our model, this is your life. Anyway, if this tail was starting to do this, this is his way of saying, okay, what are you doing next? Ooh, that was a little touch on my body. It's actually the adrenaline starting to rise up in his body, which then each touch becomes more stimulating, and that's where the cat may suddenly swat or bite at you. And we hear it all the time. Oh, my cat, he always bites me when I'm petting him. Well, if you really watched or had a person take a video of themselves as they pet their cat, oftentimes the ears are doing flicking and the tail starts to flick, and the owner is missing or not understanding the meaning of those body language signs, which is, I'm getting really kind of worked up here, stop touching me. So when we're doing this gentling in a shelter or a clinic, I think it's imperative that there's a training session to the handlers who will be doing this petting. I have seen very, very many veterinary technicians, experienced shelter workers, and veterinarians overstimulate cats by touching them too much. And we need to be aware, just like what you're doing right now. I think it's because he wants to jump down. He wants to explore the room. It's his way of saying, I really want to get off this table, Dr. Foote. Okay. Anyway, but we need our handlers to understand exactly what happened right there. That was not a moment to continue petting Binks. And he may come back and then we can pet some more. But for the 6 minutes, we want to make sure that we are doing it in a way that the cat is not starting to rise up in any kind of twitching or ear flicking or dilated pupils in the process of this petting. So it may be possible, while 6 minutes to 9 minutes is the optimal or been found to be the best amount of time for doing this petting, we have a wide variety of cats and their life, what they've been exposed to in life for petting. You may find at your shelter that these cats do well for the first 2 minutes, and by minute 3, they're starting to get very flicky and very, a bit agitated. So stop at 2.5 minutes. And after a few days of the 2.5 minutes, it's highly likely that you will get to minute 4, 5, or 6, and then see the full benefit. Now, last thing, we have to be quiet. We can't talk to the cats when we're doing this. So I am a really big promoter of set the phone on with the video, so you can just video yourself when you're doing these things, because we tend to talk to animals. Why? It feels good to us, and for a lot of different animals it may feel good to them. Again though, we need to understand the species with which we are working, and if cats don't like talking, we need to replay that video to really see the subtle body language and the comparison of staying absolutely quiet versus talking to them. And yes, really think absolutely quiet. You're going to find a lot more cats much happier with that and not talking to the cats. And this will be difficult for a lot of the handlers to accept as being what the cat really prefers, because they may see, well, he's happy because he's flipping his tail a little bit, or he's getting up and he's moving around the cage, so he's exploring the cage, and that's actually better. In feline behavior, there's much more nuanced body language as compared to canine behavior, and it's important that we're all educated in this, we understand this, and we remember the feline species is different than the canine species. Well, thank you very much. I appreciate your time here today. Remember to go to my website, drsallyjfoote.com. If you go under the veterinary tab, to the free resources, download that feline ladder of aggression and use that regularly whenever you are working with cats, especially for this gentling and this handling, because we want to pick up on those early body language signs of tension and not miss them, so we don't overstimulate them with something we're trying to do to help them. Thank you very much. Take care and goodbye.